Okay, so we're going to start with the sleeve and how that gets put together. I already talked about the markings, the one on the top and then the one that's for the back, so that you know where it goes when it gets on the jacket. Part of the trickiness of this is also because it is so identical looking. When you lay them out and you have them all marked so that like all the back pieces or the back markings are together, etc. This is where you will take one and put it this way, and then you will do the opposite thing with the other. That way you will have a left and a right, because if you do them both the same direction, you'll have two rights or two lefts. So keep that in mind, and I recommend taking and doing that and pinning it so that you don't lose track of which is which. So I'm going to put this back in that packet because I have already done some pre-work so that this is a little faster for you. So I've already worked on this one, but the assembly of this sleeve, we're just going to line up end to end. And here, and the end there. And it should match up the same way. If there is a little bit of a difference, it's probably just because there's been some shifting of the fabric itself as it gets pulled a little bit. You can just ease it in and make it work. Okay, so then that's just going to be 5/8 of an inch straight down there. I do recommend, like, if you're really up for it, you can switch your thread colors and stuff if you want. I'm just doing white, and it's because you do some top stitching on some things later, and it's just working for me, so that's what I've stuck with. So if you only have one, I hope it's white, because that's important. Sorry, I speed up between my pens and slow down when I get to one. In an attempt to not, hit one, but I'm not always so successful. And then back stitch. Take the pins out. And you'll notice that we did not serge all of the pieces. We serged the sleeves and the front white thing because the pattern instructions had you folding under a little hem and all that stuff. We're just gonna make this easy. But we are not lining the sleeve because no one's gonna see the inside of the sleeve. So we went ahead and serged those because they are exposed edges, and in an effort to keep it from being super shreddy. That's why these are serged, but the majority of the rest of the pieces are not. So just keep that in mind as you're doing that. So we're pressing the seam out flat so that when we sew them in other places, it's not too big and bulky. Okay, from here, you're going to put the cuff in, much like that first jacket that we did. We've already done this for you. It has a seam. There's only one seam on this one, so it's really easy to remember which one it's supposed to be, since I'm going to mess that up the first time. Anyway, so just pull it in here like this, line up your seams, and remember, it's more important that you line the seam up down here where the seam line is than it is up here at the top, because you're not going to see that when it gets sewn. You are going to see there. So I line that up, and then pins go. And again, I like to pin my flaps down so that they don't get crumpled as I do this. And there again, it looks like, how the heck am I supposed to do that? Just go a little bit at a time, all the way around. Just make a flat space and move it along and match that up. And again, you're matching up down here at the seam line more importantly than making it smooth up at the top. You do want to make it level with the fabric, but rumply or not, that edge is not the important part. Here it looks like, oh no, it's not gonna fit because this is looking really big in comparison. It'll work. It'll work. We just keep pulling together here, working it out like this. Okay, then we're going to take it over and do a 5/8 inch seam to attach that. Too far down there. Here we go. Stitch a little bit when you get back there. Okay, so now we're going to take the pins out. Your threads, my scissors. Okay, so now we're going to turn it right side out. And we are going to understitch again, just like we did on those other jackets, which is right here, so that this seam allowance that is left flapping in here, when we roll it, it won't want to flip out as well. So we're just gonna tuck that in, and that's gonna be toward the sleeve. I'm gonna come over here to the machine and take care of that. I'm going to take my table off here. I'm just going to use the arm. Stick it under here. I can feel that it's, about 5/8 inch from the seam here. So I'm gonna just make sure that my needle is in that 5/8 inch area. And for me, I'm using this line right here as a guide for the seam, whatever works on your machine for you. But we're just gonna go all the way around to tack that up toward the sleeve. Make sure my seam. And I'm pulling apart as I go so that it's as smooth as possible when it's all done. And yes, you can see the white on the blue, but the cuff's going to be rolled up, so I'm not stressing. Trim this, and trim this. Now, when you roll that seam allowance isn't meant to flip out that direction because it's been tacked down, and now we have a sleeve. So after you have done both of your sleeves, you can double, triple, whatever check you think you need to do. This one I already did. Because it's a lot easier to fix it at this stage if you have a mistake. But when you lay this out the right way, for example, I have both seams up right now. I should have one left and one right. So where's the dot here? Where's my dot? Okay, so my dot over here on this sleeve. There's that one. And then opposite over here, I have a dot in this sleeve. So that means I have a left and a right. If I were to get this together and I have a dot here and a dot here, gotta change one of them. So that's why it's important to check that before you get started on them. And that is how you do the sleeves.